Hey, if you're looking to create a set of financial projections for a birthing center, then you've come to the right place because we have built a financial projection template built specifically for birthing centers. And I'm going to walk you through how to fill the template out in great detail here, really kind of take you through step by step. But before I do that, just a couple of things. One, we're going to put a link to this template in the description of the video below. Also, if you stick around to the very end of the video, as a thank you for sticking around to the end, we're going to give you a discount code. So that's our thank you, and hope you stick around to the end to watch how this template works. And also, just before I dive into the details of this, just a little bit of background on me. My name's Adam Huxama. I'm the co-founder of Projection Hub, and we help small businesses create financial projections for SBA loans, for potential investors. And I spent about 12 years as the executive director of an SBA lender, where we made over 1,500 SBA loans during my time there. And so based on that experience, I've now moved into my work here at Projection Hub with that perspective of an SBA lender. So we make sure that our templates and our process helps you to make sure that you're presenting what the SBA is going to be looking for in terms of a set of projections. So all of our templates, we have about 125 of them. All of them are going to be structured and set up to work well for an SBA loan application. And then the last thing I'd mention, just if you get into this and you're like, you know what, I just want someone to fill this thing out for me. I know what my plans are, but I'd just like someone to fill this out for me. We do offer a template fill out service, so feel free to reach out to us at support@projectionhub.com, and we can talk to you about how we can help you fill out the model for you. So, all right, with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and dive into the details of how this template works. Okay, so here we're starting with the at a glance tab, and this is kind of the end of the process. So once you've filled all the input assumptions throughout the model, you're going to get this nice set of charts and graphs and tables with key performance indicators, summary data, things that you can put into a business plan or a pitch deck. You're also going to get a 5-year income statement, 5-year cash flow, 5-year balance sheet, and then the income statement, cash flow, and balance sheet all broken down by month for each of the 5 years. So that's going to meet whatever the SBA is going to be requiring of you in terms of both annual and monthly projections. But in order to produce all these reports, we do have a bit of work to do. So we're going to look at our input assumptions tab here to start. The first thing you need to know is that every cell that's highlighted in blue is an assumption that you can change without breaking anything in the model. So here we're going to put in the company name. We can put the projection start month. If you're already open, you could put in your opening cash balance. We're going to kind of look at this from the perspective of a startup, of a new center. And so we're going to assume that maybe you're putting in some personal investment here of $50,000 in month 1. Maybe you're raising some money from outside investors as well. So you've got outside investment of $125,000. Here's an example. And then down here, actually, we have an SBA or a startup loan, $500,000 in month 1 with a 10% interest rate at a 10-year term. Now, there's some other assumptions up here. Accounts payable. This just means that you're going to pay 80% of your bills in the month that you incur the expense. Maybe the other 20% are things that you can put on a credit card and you pay for it today, but you don't pay the credit card off until next month, right? And then on the accounts receivable side, you've got the ability to say the average days sales outstanding or the number of days to collect payment. So this probably depends on whether you're billing to insurance or private pay. But what we assume here is that we're assuming a 60-day days to collect. So after you provide the service, you're going to get paid 60 days later. This is a really big and important assumption in this model because it impacts cash flow drastically. If you're depending on how long you're having to wait to get paid. So if you are, let's say you're all private pay, cash or credit card only, then you'd probably want to put in like 0 days here. You're getting paid right away when you're providing the service. But if you're billing insurance or state, that's where you're going to have that number of days or months to wait. On the inventory side, you're probably not going to have a whole lot in the way of inventory. You just have some supplies probably, but maybe you'll carry some amount of inventory or supply of inventory on the balance sheet. So we recommend just leave this at 10%. It's going to keep a small percentage of inventory on hand for you. In terms of fixed assets, let's say you are leasing a space and you're going to need to do a bunch of renovations to the space to get it ready. So you've got renovations here, $250,000 for renovations. And this useful life here, this is just basically how long we're going to depreciate these fixed assets over. So, birthing tubs, we've got, maybe we'll do 5 for the equipment, maybe 10 years for the bed, 5 years for furniture, fixtures, linens here. That linens we probably don't even need to put in the equipment section. That's probably more of just a supply that we could include on our operating expenses. So we'll show you how to add that in. That's more of a consumable item. So that's how you'd enter this section in. You're going to notice down here, this how much cash do I need? So what this green box is going to do is try to understand what are your startup costs, how much do you have raised from loans and investment, and then how much working capital are you going to need? And that working capital number here is how much cash the model is calculating that you're going to need to cover your losses while you're ramping up, while you're getting started. And remember also, if you're waiting 60 days or 30 days to get paid, that's going to cause you to need more working capital, right? So that has an impact on this as well. So the model's trying to figure out, okay, based on all the assumptions that we have in here, how much total cash do we think is going to be needed, and do we have enough? So you could always make sure to come back to this green box after you filled everything out and make sure that it looks like that this will say starting cash is sufficient. All right, let's look at our input revenue tab here. So to start with, we say, well, we don't have any current patients, so we've got that set to 0. We're going to do some advertising of $2,500 a month. We think the cost to acquire a new patient is going to be $250. Maybe we'll just leave it at $250 per patient. So that is going to drive, if you're spending $2,500 on advertising, $250 to acquire a new patient. So we think we're going to get 10 new patients from our paid advertising. Maybe we're doing Facebook or Google Ads, Instagram, that sort of thing. And then we've got new patients from organic sources. So this is just word of mouth. And this maybe we apply a growth rate to. We think as we serve more patients, that will increase over time. So that gives us our total number of new patients each month. We can also set the maximum number of patients that we think we can handle at any one time. So this is the number of active patients. Now, in order to determine how many active patients we have, we need to know the average patient relationship length. So we would expect the average patient is going to be a patient for a year, right? They're going to, before having the birth, services for the birth, then after the birth for several months, maybe doing some check-in, that sort of thing. So we set that to a year. Maybe it'd be a little bit less than a year, maybe a little bit longer, but that's kind of, and you can adjust that, but roughly we're looking at like a year for a patient relationship length. So then this row calculates how many active patients do we have at any one time. Okay, from there, we can set our kind of services and our pricing. So we've got these different visit types. We've got the facility fee for the actual birth. So we've got set that at $7,000. We've got material cost of 10% of the fee. So $700 in material cost for supplies and consumables. And then this says average number per patient. Well, we're going to only pay that once because that will be for the birth itself. And then again, here, the professional fee, this is really for the provider or, the staff that are there on the day of the birth. So we've got a fee for that and also just one per patient. And then what we can offer here, some different services, a lactation service, postpartum, doula home care. Maybe we have, you could add in additional services here, but you can set an average fee for that. And then the percentage of patients that are going to utilize that service. So maybe we say only 35% of our patients are going to utilize this service. So we set it as 0.35. So you can think of this as a percentage really, because you've got 100% of patients are going to utilize the facility, right? But some percentage less than 100 are probably going to use these other services here. Okay, and then you can set what percentage of your fee is going to be reimbursed. We set it to 100, so we'd suggest you just kind of put in what you actually think you're going to get paid. There could be a difference between what you bill versus what insurance reimburses. So if you wanted to put in what you're going to bill versus what you actually get reimbursed, you could put a lower percentage of reimbursement here if you'd like. Okay, so that is it on the revenue side. On the expense side here, we can put in our various operating expenses. So like rent here, utilities, accounting fees, insurance. We've got some expenses that we set up as a percentage of revenue. So here we can see you can set an expense as a fixed dollar amount, a percentage of revenue, or a per employee expense. For percentage of revenue, we enter in those as a 0.01 for like 1% or 0.04 for 4%. We also have an insurance billing service. So if you're hiring, outsourcing somebody to do the billing to insurance, a lot of times it varies, it ranges, but 6% is kind of in the range of what that might cost you. On the salary side, we can enter in our different salaried positions. So we've got the OB, we've got midwife, we've got doulas. And so what you can see here, you can select the category, the minimum salary here, the taxes, benefits. We usually set benefits to be 10% of the salary, the month that position is started, and then the number of those employees. So here we're saying we have 2 midwives, 2 doulas here. And then notice as we grow, in month 13, we're going to add an additional 2 midwives and 2 doulas, in addition. So you can add more staff as you grow. And that really brings us back to where we started on the at a glance here. You can kind of see, just under $1 million in revenue based on the assumptions that we had put in there in the first year, small net income, and then growing over time. Okay, so thank you for sticking around to the very end here. As promised, I want to give you access to a coupon code. So if you go down to the description of the video below, you're going to see a link to a form. You can fill out that form and we're going to email you our most up-to-date coupon code to take a discount on this as our thank you. And if you found this video to be helpful, it'd be great if you liked the video, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. And of course, if you have any questions or need help at all, reach out to us at support@projectionhub.com. Thanks.